Hey there, good
Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess. Cause I've been
It is
living
Mother's
wrong.
Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the
Mothers
wonderful
out there.
mothers out there. I am Hamza,
I'm David.
and this is another episode of Intrinsic Motivation from a homie's perspective. And so before we have a special guest today,
We do.
and really excited to talk about her and introduce her to our audience. Before we get started, I haven't seen you in a week,
Yeah.
and we always talk about what's happened metaphysically or spiritually for you for the week. I know off camera you were talking about some hypersleep
Yes.
that's really biting at you. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, just been sleeping a lot. Like, I think you mentioned the new moon,
Yes.
so that would affect that. And it's like I can't get enough sleep. I just sleep, and when I get up, I just want to sleep some more. So we talked about hypersleep, I guess, the last episode was.
Yes,
Yeah.
with Avery, yeah.
So I'm gonna probably diving into that maybe in a few weeks there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And what's really interesting is the angels will really sit you down.
Yeah.
If you are so busy but not on their time, they will sit you down. It sounds like you're about to download a lot.
Yeah.
So really excited to hear about you when you go through that process.
Yeah.
So I would like to introduce...
Well, how was your week?
How was my week?
Yeah.
My week, actually, I was looking at doing hypersleep this week, too. I was going to do it this weekend because it's the new moon, and I just had some third dimension work stuff. I had some new clients, and also I had to work this weekend, so wasn't able to hypersleep. But as we were talking...
Third dimension work.
Yeah, third dimension work, right? Pay the bills type of deal.
Yeah.
But really excited about us going to support another friend of ours, Debbie, who's going to be at Phoenix and Dragon on Thursday. She's doing that new brain exercise. So that's going to be fun, and then we'll buy some Moldavite.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned, buying Moldavite will actually help you in your hypersleep, and especially if you're going to get some downloading and remember all of that if you're keeping a journal. Are you keeping a journal, a dream journal?
I don't. Generally, I don't.
Okay.
But maybe I should.
Yeah, it's always interesting to kind of go back and just reference like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, right? Because like Avery keeps one last week, and she's been hypersleeping for
20 years.
20 plus years, and to see the trepidation of from the beginning to obviously we're going to have her back because an hour wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right, and so since we're talking about downloading, you're going to get downloading from your ancestors or your angels or your spiritual guides. And our guest today is talking a lot about her communication with the angels. In fact, she just came out with some cards recently, and we were blessed to see her at an event at Unity North here in Atlanta.
And I got an angel reading.
And you got an angel reading.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tracey Johnson. And Tracey has a new card. Her cards are AIR cards, AIR, and that is an acronym that I'll let her tell you about. So welcome to the show, Avery. Welcome to the show, Tracey. You should never call a girl by her wrong name. I learned that a long time ago.
We're not in a relationship. We're in trouble right now. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Tracey J. Johnson. What does J stand for?
That's a secret.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get it out of her at some point. It's not this podcast. We'll get it in the future. So welcome, Tracey. How are you?
I'm great, and just would like to thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you very much.
She's a mother and a grandmother.
Yes. But when you see my picture, you'll question that. But
yes.
I appreciate both of you guys for having me on and being interested in what it is that I am and doing, and look forward to sharing.
Awesome. So before getting started and learning all about you, because you have a really fun story that the world needs to know about. But we always talk about your awakening moment, or what was your hello moment, because most of us have had the 9 to 5 type of living in the vortex or the matrix or whatever you want to call it. And then we got that 4x4, which I call my hello, right, where your life gets turned upside down. And then at the time it feels like, what's going to happen to me, right? But then when you look back, it turned out to be the best thing because it put you on your life path. So would you like to tell us your hello moment?
My hello moment was when I saw 11:11, like constantly, back to back to back. And I'm like, what is this? It was like really starting to become kind of, I would say, irritating because I didn't know what it was or why I was seeing it. And one evening, I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling really, really bad, and I actually turned over and I looked at the clock and I saw 11:11 again. I said, okay, enough is enough. I got on, I was feeling really bad, but I didn't care because I had seen 11:11 so many times that I just opened up my computer, my laptop, and just did a Google search. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God.
So this was in 2011 then?
No,
what year was this?
I believe it was in 2011 because at that time, after I actually looked it up on the computer, on the Googled it, I said, okay, 11/11, like November 11 is coming, and this is 2011. So I end up Googling. I said I have to find somewhere to go to, where there are like-minded people who understand, because I was new to it, what this 11/11 is, and it just seems like it's going to be like a really significant day. So when I end up Googling, that's how I found Miss Joanne.
Okay.
She was having this event. I Googled it. I said, it's something got to be going on around here that is focused on 11/11. I found Horizon, and after that, my life, has never been the same.
Now that's really funny because our first episode was about God winks, and so we were trying to look at all of the coincidences. It was about naps.
Yeah.
So the second one was God winks. And coincidences, and we know at Horizon, and in life there really are no accidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was really interesting that your hello was 11/11 at Unity North, and your event a couple of weeks ago was at Unity North.
Yes.
So it's really, so if this was all new to you, what was your life like before then?
Like everyone else, crazy. No, but before that, I was going through some transitioning because I really was planning on moving back home to Milwaukee. I had, gotten rid of my home, and, I was in a place where I was always an entrepreneur. And when the economy shifts, my business was really, really slow, and I was like, okay, this is a good time for me to go ahead and go back home. My daughter, had recently, not too long, had a baby, and so I was like, I could just go home, be close to my daughter and my granddaughter, and I'm just gonna move back to Milwaukee. And so I was staying with a friend temporarily because I was tying up in loose ends, and I had already gotten rid of my home. I had given away all of my everything that I had, or sold everything, one of the two. I didn't have anything, so I just said, forget it, I'm just gonna go back home. But then I ended up having a talk at a place. It was called First Fruit, and there was a woman who owned a facility where she did a lot of holistic type of events, and she was a doctor, a holistic doctor, and I had a talk there. I was talking to entrepreneurs, and I had a book out at that time, a journal book. And when I went and talked to her, and then she was like, oh my God, I ended up, driving by, and I said something was like, go back. And when I went back, then we ended up being partners, and that's why I stayed here.
Interesting.
And that was before the 11/11 thing?
Yes, it was like, it was in 2011.
Okay.
But it was, I was already seeing the 11/11, so it was like, transitioning into that. But before 11/11, when I was seeing all of that, I was moving, and then I started, seeing the 11/11 after I had given away everything and moved out of my house, my home, and was on my way back. And then I started seeing 11/11 like, oh, you're not going anywhere kind of thing.
So I always hear that it's really hard to leave Atlanta. In fact, that if you die and you go to hell, there's a layover in Atlanta. So.
Oh, boy, I tried to leave Atlanta a couple times since then. I tried to leave.
He's still here, guys.
He's
still. Yeah. So you had these. You kept seeing this 11/11, which was something was telling you or driving you somewhere, and you ultimately drove to Unity North, which was the 11/11 event, and then they had a 12/12 event. So what was your experience like after seeing these signs and then going to the 11/11 event? Like, what was your takeaway from that event?
Well, it was really, really crowded, so I didn't, I still was having, in the beginning stages of really moving to that place of really my life changing, drastically as a result. So it took a little bit, like at, the facility where my friend and we ended up being partners, I had a huge event there. I'm always creating something. And there was a lady who was a practitioner at her location where she did her holistic practice, and she just out of the blue came up to me and gave me this book and said, "Here, you need to read this." And I was like,
Did you know her?
Yes, I had, met her,
Okay.
in, passing,
Okay.
a couple of times, and she attended the event, and she was always a really nice lady, but we hadn't had a conversation to the degree that she would know what kind of book I would be interested in. It was just like out the blue, she gave me a book, and it was a book called Healing with the Angels by Doreen Virtue, and I was like, okay, well, why, she said, you need to read this, and I was like, okay, so that weekend, I started reading the book, and once I began reading it, I couldn't put it down. It was just like something was happening inside of me, like, oh my God, this is just like, what's happening? That's when I really started, going further into and just, knowing there was something else going on in my world that, it was really amazing. I just can say that.
Okay. So you went to the 11/11 event. You have the Doreen Virtue book, and I've read a lot of Doreen Virtue, and I have her app and all, which is fantastic. So you went from Unity North to Horizon. What was your experience like at Horizon?
So what happened, so after I read that book and, I learned that the angels are available to assist us and we just had to give them permission. And, being an entrepreneur since I was 10 years old, I decided, okay, and it's like years after that, like several years after that, and I was like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur to my heart. So I said, how can I put my angels to work? It says, angels are here to help us. So I said, being an entrepreneur and having a business mindset, I've gone through several programs. I said, okay, how can I put my angels to work? So I decided to create an organizational chart, like a business organizational chart. And so I started, doing research and, what the different angels' assignments were, like what they actually would assist us with, because I'm like, I need to know what they, which ones to call, not just like any angel, like, okay, which ones can I call to do what? So I just started really getting into it. And so I created an organizational chart and assigned them to the different departments, for my business. Because, being a practitioner, normally we're just one person, but we need assistance, and sometimes we don't have the money to hire anyone. So I was like, angels work for free. I'll put them to work. So that's how I ended up doing that. But the funny thing is that it's like a few years went by, and I put all of this together, and I really didn't have a business model because my business had, kind of like really slowed down due to the economy, so I didn't really have a business model to apply it to until I ended up, being an insurance agent, and I was new to the industry, so I was like, I'm getting ready to put my angels to work now because I really need help. So I did that, but going back to, like, after 11/11, I don't know how many years went by before I ended up connecting back to Horizon. I would continually receive emails from Joanne, and it was something about mediumship. It was a class about mediumship, but it also said how to connect to your guides and your angels. And I was like, you know what, I need to really learn more about how to connect to the angels. And so that's why I ended up calling and registering for the class. But then Joanne was saying there was a prerequisite, and then you have to go through spiritual tools class and something else. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I should just go ahead and take that. And then, long story short, then she took it back and said, you don't have to. I said, but it was probably meant for me to take these classes. So after taking those classes, my life was just turned upside down. Totally. It was funny because in the beginning she kind of like warned us. She said, okay, when you take this class, your life is not going to be, things are going to change. Your relationship is going to change, this and I was like, okay, thanks for telling me. But when she was telling the truth, because I was in a relationship and it was like that, it just wasn't the same. It was like I'm in one dimension and he's in this dimension, and it was just everything got turned upside down. So after that. And I started hearing high-pitched tones in my ear, because then I was like, what is that? I mean, I'm laying down, and I'm like, do you hear that? No, what are you talking about? It's kind of like, are you crazy or what? But I realized it was the angels. I started connecting with them. I created a initial deck of cards. This is my second deck. And it was just them coming forth. I worked with 16 different archangels, and it was them coming to let me know that they were the angels that I was going to be working with. And so, yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Now we'll get to your cards, but that story was really interesting to me, particularly because mine was somewhat similar in the fact that I had met Jim Self, and we talked about Jim on some previous podcasts. And he actually was at Berkeley Psychic Institute when Joanne was there, right? And so part of my hello was a little bit before yours, but I had met people at the Jim Self Conference, and those that know him know he has some advanced classes, so I was going to go to these advanced classes. And some friends there told me, no, since you live here in Atlanta, you might want to talk to Joanne and go to Horizon since you're here. And all these years later, I really appreciated, after being around other psychics and such, kind of like how she prepared you, because I think she provides that foundation where you're able to absorb this without being overwhelmed.
Yes.
And so now we can see people come in and they have these talents, but they're kind of in their mind losing it because they really don't have that foundation.
Right.
And that medium class is highly recommended. It's Yvonne, and we'll have her on the podcast in the future. So it was good that you were actually able to do the prerequisites, because I think that was important. What were some of the things that in the prerequisite that you still use today? Are there some entry-level tools or something that you could share that maybe put your cards to the next level? Or explain, like, it turned your life upside down. You mentioned in relationships, but personally, what happened?
Well, one of the major things that I learned and received, and I continue to do and understand how it's as important to my life for all of us is the grounding, understanding about grounding. I mean, that's like you can't live, normally, in this kind of, when we're in this place, without grounding every day. And, there was one aspect of the class I really enjoyed, and it was about your bubble. I just took that all the way to a whole nother level. I used to sleep in my bubble. I used to imagine being in my bubble, and it was a cloud, and I just, I slept like a baby.
Basking in your bubble.
Yes, I mean, my bubble was like, and Miss Joanne, I would come to class, and I would be so excited about how I used my bubble. But, some of the things, you need, like you said, as far as for your a foundation, but as you continue to grow and evolve, you learn how to utilize what you have, but, some things you put to the side because you've gotten to a different place. Like, one of the things that I don't do anymore is focus on, like, this protecting myself. I just understand that I have to just raise my vibration, and I don't have to protect myself from things that are, lower, that's a lower vibration that I don't want to have to deal with, for lack of a better term. I just learn how to elevate in that way. Instead of, because for me, when I say protecting myself, that's like a form of resistance. Like it causes me to think about being afraid of trying to protect myself from something that's going to affect me in any kind of way. So for me, that was like causing resistance. So I just know if I just raise my vibration in different, ways that I've learned, for me, it works out, and I really appreciate understanding that aspect as well. So
that's not the air. I don't know what that is. Well, it's gone now.
Okay. So what's interesting is, and we were talking about this a little bit last week, is that when you start having relationships with your ancestors or your spirit guides or your angels, there's usually some level of acknowledgement to them and some type of donation, if you will. So are you making any type of libations, or are you doing any type of offerings? And is that your way of communicating, like, hey, I'm interested in having this communication because I have this org chart and I want to fill in these positions? Or you had this org chart, right? So how did it go after that as far as identifying the certain angels and fitting them into place?
Well, like for me, one of the things that I do, or when I'm reading or assisting others, it's like I call it the gateway, and it's through my heart portal. So I connect with my angels in that manner, and most often when the different angels come to me, I use my crystals. My crystals is one of my ways as well, as far as, like connecting with them. But more so, it's like my connection is through my heart and the tone in my ear. It's like it gets really like when I'm in different places, and if I'm still and I'm paying attention, it'll get louder, or I'll hear it, and sometimes I don't. I mean, there was a time when I was really excited when I was introduced to angels and when they came forth as far as archangels, and I was expecting a lot because I'm like, I have the angels on my side. I can move heaven and earth now, and I was expecting for that to take place right away. But I understood that there was a lot of things that I had to, in terms of my process, that I had to go through in order to fully connect with them and understand the process and how they work. So I shut down, I pulled away, and I did not hear the tone anymore. So, and then when I decided one day to just, I even put my cards away that I created, and I sat down one afternoon in my living room, and I took the cards out and I laid them on the table, and immediately I heard the high-pitched tone. So that's how I know when they're near, and it's just like, because of my relationship, as far as like when I'm creating, when I'm designing my cards, it's like a relationship. It's like I'm connecting with them in some kind of way, and it's just like I just have this knowing that which angel is present. It's like, how like when you have a relationship with someone, you can have they can be in another room and you hear their voice and you just know it's them because you have a relationship. You don't have to see their face. You don't have to, do anything. You just know. It's just like a feeling, because it's like it's my heart portal, and I just know I'm familiar with them, so I'll know regardless which one is which. Okay. That's to the degree that I've experienced.
So that's what I was going to ask you. How do you know which one is? I was thinking maybe it's just a different pitch for each one, but
it's a feeling.
It's a feeling
in my heart, because I work, so in my process, in my journey. And I've shared with people that I've been broken open, and it's not, as far as the angels is concerned, but there was, we have a lot of blockages of fear and doubt and disbelief, and so because I work on observing my inner state, I'm like hyper aware of my inner state, and I focus on my heart. Like one of the main meditations that I do is just breathing, focusing on my heart and breathing through my heart, and it's just, transmuting or, observing my heart, so it transmute anything that will hinder my connection, And so that's one of the reasons why, too. Like when I shut down, I was expecting more, is because I had too many blockages. I was, going through a lot. There was a lot of pain and disappointment, and as I allowed myself to go through that process and, observe my inner state and, from my higher self and transmute or shed light on what was, going on in my heart, it just dissolved it. And so then my connection became really, really strong. So like with my first card deck, it was only 16 cards, and I knew it was going to be I was going to have to complete the deck, but I wasn't able to until after I cleared all those blockages. It was like now you're ready, and it was able to fully come forth. Those just came, the 16 cards was just to let me know who I was going to be, who was going to be working with me as I, fully manifest my life work.
So let me ask you this question, just out of curiosity. What's the difference between an angel and an archangel, or is it all the same?
Yes, there's different. It's hierarchies. It's like the archangels they preside over different, areas. Like there's certain angels that protect and watch over nature, like Archangel Ariel, is like all of the animals and the nature and things like that. And so there's different rankings, and angels are, below. Like when I say below, as far as they're closer to the earth plane, like the angels, and then archangels is the next level, and so there's different thrones and all of that goes higher in different dimensions. They preside over different areas and have different assignments that's given to them. So the archangels is above the angels.
So when they communicate to you, you said it's like a feeling. Do you ever hear anything? They talk or?
No, not to me.
Yeah.
I don't hear words. They don't communicate with me in words. It's like I have an angelic language, and so most often, when I communicate in my angelic language, it's like what happens is also there's a shift in me, because when I'm speaking in my angelic language, it's like it's taking care of whatever might be going on in my field or my heart. It's like my angels is working on me through me. And so when I speak in my angelic language and when I'm doing a reading, I connect with the angels that choose you and your guides. So it's like I use that, but I don't hear any words. I do receive a lot of downloads, and it's through the high-pitched tone. And so most often when it's translated from them, me hearing the high-pitched tone and the downloads, it gets translated into words, but it's right when I wake up in the morning. Like if I have a question on my heart before I go to sleep, before I become fully conscious, then I'll have that kind of experience. But most often it's in my heart.
It sounds a lot like relationships, where a girl will call the house and she'll say it's me. And when she says it's me, you better know who the dog is.
Right, that's right. That's right.
So it sounds like initially there was, when you expected like this big expectation, it could be American, like Americans, we like everything big, or if you're in the country of Texas, everything in Texas is big. So it sounds like it was more of a conditional thing that you wanted, a conditional expectation. And when you had the conditional expectation, you kind of were like, well, I didn't get what I wanted, and kind of shut down from that, it sounds like.
Well, see, because like I said, I'm one to create whenever I receive something that has blessed my heart or my soul, I'll create something to be able to give it to everyone. So what I came to the realization when I started, focusing on my inward journey, it was like I had to embody what was being given to me before I decided I was going to create, all these different little programs, because I created something called employing the angelic realm, angels on assignment, employing the angelic realm, to teach others how to use the angels, because when I created that organizational chart, I was very, very successful in what I did. I mean, I was an insurance agent, and I ended up winning an all-expense-paid trip in 9 months. And when I spoke, had conversations with the agents there, they want to talk about, their sales and things like that. It was mostly men, but they was like, where did you come from, and how did, I was like, and I told them I was only been an agent for 9 months, and they was like, what? It took us 2-3 years to win this trip. But it was because I used my angels, and so I developed something, so I'm like, okay, this is awesome, I have to give it to everyone else. But the angels was like, no, you're not ready to do that, because you have to embody what we have, what we're giving you. I'm good at, just taking something and want to run with it. I'll, like, someone, fix a feast for me, and I'll taste everything, and then I want to pass it out to everybody, because it was such a blessing. And it was like, you're not ready. You're not ready to go, I saw the vision of how thousands of people that I would be able to help, but it was like, you're not ready. And so I had to accept that, but I was very disappointed, because my first one, I was like, okay, where's everybody? I'm expecting a line, a line out the door, and it's like far from that. And I was like, what happened? I thought you guys had my back, and it was like, we do, but you're not ready.
That's a really good point. I was having a conversation on Instagram actually over the weekend, and we were talking about business coaches, and somebody was like, well, I can't go to a business coach if they've never had a business. right? Like they had to be in your shoes to actually talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sounds, I mean, now you're looking at it obviously 2020 and it makes sense, but at the time I could sense the frustration because it wasn't meeting your expectations. But now you're getting people to access their angels, and you're setting that expectation for them too, because they may, right, America, we always think big, and you may ultimately get there on God's time or the universe's time, but not on our time, which is I guess, the fallacy or the wrong way of thinking.
And I was like, my heart was broken. That's all I felt like. You broke my heart, kind of like when you talk about a relationship, I was like, what happened? It was devastating to me, to be honest with you. But.
So of the 16 angels that you work with, is there one that you work with more than any other, or is it kind of equal throughout all?
No, the angels that are with me all the time, and it was made clear in the beginning, Archangel Michael, definitely. That I call on Michael, and I don't really have to call on Michael just for protecting me, because when you're working with individuals, they have a lot of things going on, and when I say protection, just because I get in a zone and I just go all out, so I know Michael is just kind of like, I feel like making sure that there aren't anything that's going to penetrate or, like just stuff.
So, Michael, for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about him. What is he?
Archangel Michael is the warrior angel.
Warrior angel?
Yes, and Archangel Michael will clear your space of any negative energy, and that's why I say, Archangel Michael's with me all the time, even if I get caught up and, I just know that he's going to be there to help clear my space, clear the space that I'm going to operate in. Archangel Michael also makes sure that the purpose that God or Source intended in your life is met. So I just feel like Archangel Michael just kind of clears the way. Even before I started doing my work, I would call on Archangel Michael to assist me with cutting any etheric cords that was connected to someone that I just couldn't shake, like somebody that I was in a relationship with, and I knew that it no longer served me, and so, but I couldn't get that, that person, shake that person new, so I'll call on Archangel Michael, cut that cord, and it's just gone just like that. And then Archangel Raphael, the healing angel, that angel, because I'm a healer, Archangel Raphael is always with me as far as I open myself up to allow that energy to flow through me as far as the healing is concerned. Archangel Raphael assists with healing on every level, mind, body, and spirit, emotionally, deal with a lot, and even for me, being healed. Archangel Shamuel, because I found out I'm an earth angel, but not just earth angel, but angel of love. And Archangel Shamuel is over the angels of love. Also assists with clearing your heart chakra and any blockages and things of that nature. I know that Archangel Shamuel gave me the definition of love, because I asked for, what is the true definition, and then later on I found out that was the angel that I was connecting with when it concerns that. One other angel that I love all my angels, definitely. Archangel Raziel is the angel, means secret of God. Archangel Raziel teaches you, or works with sacred geometry and quantum physics and things like that, true secrets of God, really. And so that angel, I always, but it's like I could name a whole bunch of them. Ariel, Raziel is another angel that helps me when it concerns communication and relationships. And Gabriel, definitely, like the marketing guru. Gabriel is also with communication when I'm writing my book or, doing my writings and things like that. And when I was creating the cards, connects with your creativity, helps open up your creativity and things like that.
So how many archangels are there?
Legions and legions. Yes, okay. yes. And then too, each of my archangels, I always, when I call on all of them when I'm doing any kind of event or doing readings, and ask for the legions of angels. So wherever I am, if people are in tune, you know, to or used to connecting with angels, they always can feel the presence of the angels. Like people always say, when you came in the room or when you were near me, I could just feel them so strong. I was like, that's my team, that's my posse. They're always with me. They're all my homies. They're always with me, all of them. But the ones that I've been really connecting with, working with, where I am. It was so funny the other week before last. I'm so used to doing readings for other people, and it was like, you need to do a reading for yourself. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So Nathaniel, Ariel, and Gabriel are the three angels that is working with me in terms of taking my business and my practice to a whole nother level. And so I was really, really excited about, the ones that came forth and grounding my ideas and bringing them to manifestation and all of that. That was what came forth. So,
So tell us a little bit about the process of creating these new cards that you have.
Well, in my meditation, and, we were all part of the Intenders meeting, it was one day I was just thinking about, it was, I don't even like to say thinking because it didn't come from my head, but from my heart. And just, knowing that the cards are called air, and the reason being is because it focuses on abundance, inner journey, and relationships. And those are the three main areas that, we are impacted in this third dimensional space, and that we go through and have concerns, and those are definitely the three areas that I've had challenges with. And so the last experience that I really, really had was the inner journey aspect. The abundance, affected me in so many different ways in relationships, but for years and years I've been hearing, Tracey, it's time for you. It's time for you. You need to focus on you, because I'm always, like I said, trying to help other people. But in my meditation, one day I just heard at the Intenders meeting, air. And I was like, oh, my God, that is, like, so amazing. Now, I already said, abundance, inner journey, and relationship, but I didn't put the letters together to say, that I was going to call the cards air. And it just resonated with me so strong, because I'm like, you can't live without air, and those are the three areas. And so I was just so excited. I was so excited, and I was like, okay, it's time. I know it's time for me to finish the cards. And so I just, took a couple days and just said, let me just go away. I went and checked in a hotel, and I said, okay, I laid all my crystals out, and I laid the cards out that I originally created, put the crystals with them, and said, okay, come on, let's, tell me what you want, what we need to put on these cards, or what I need to say, and I'm just still, and I just, was doing research and just would hear, because my strongest clair is hearing, clairaudience. Okay. And so I, it's translated into words, but I hear the high-pitched tone, and I know I'm receiving my download.
Gotcha.
And so each one, it was just having an encounter and experience, because it is a relationship. So, you can call me a player, because I got 16.
Playing her cards, huh?
Yeah, so, yes.
Well, let me ask you, so people have one opinion of having a reading, right? And your readings are quite different. So how do you set their expectation if they're coming in of, where am I going to get married next week and what have you?
Yeah, that happened to me last week, and It was so funny. And so I always start out, and, Miss Joanne with Horizon, she would always, she may mention she don't do future readings. She always do past life readings, and reason being is because so many people give psychics, seniority.
Or present day reading.
Yes, present day. They give them seniority, and I was like, so when the last week when I did a fair, a lady sat down and I explained to her that, first of all, this is not a psychic reading to the, in terms of me telling you your future or what's going on, anything like that. I tell them that what I do is assist them with connecting with the angels that desire to assist them on their journey in whatever area. Not only that, I always let them know that I don't take the power away from them. I empower them, again, by assisting them with connecting with the angels that desires to assist them, because if they're having a crisis or something going on in their world and I'm not available, then what are they going to do? So one of the things that I have each individual do is when they sit before me is I have them to do a little quick minute meditation, and one of my favorites is to focus on their heart and imagine breathing in and out of their heart like 3 times, I would tell them. And it's because I need them to get in their heart space, because their heart is the gateway to their angel encounter. So that's how I prepare them. And so, everyone that I've, had an experience or was able to serve, they was always excited about that. That, I'm glad that this is something different. And so I'll also let them know that they don't choose the angels choose them. So when they get in their heart space, I'll tell them, let me know when you're there, because if you focus on your heart and you're breathing, your heart is going to open up. And then, again, the cards are focusing on abundance, inner journey, and relationship. And most often, at the fairs, you only have like a very short period of time, so I would have them to choose one of the 3 categories. Gotcha. And once they do that, I'll actually spread the cards out in front of them, and then, find out, how do they normally connect with spirit. Is it, through, the 4 different ways: hearing, seeing, feeling, or knowing. They would always, say, okay, I connect by, just knowing. I said, well, I had you to be share that with me, because angels may come a different way, just so that you will know that it's them. So when I spread the cards out, I say, I need you to pay attention to every experience that you have, whether it's a feeling, a tingling, anything. It's because you're building a relationship. It's like so that you will know. If you see a color, that's their way of letting you know that that's them. So once I do that, I have them choose 3 cards, and when they choose their 3 cards, what I would do is I connect with the angels that they actually, that came forth, and I pray in my angelic language so that I can connect with their angels and their guides, and to create a circle, an energy, like we're connecting, like we're holding hands, like the angels are right there. And prior to doing that, I always tell them, you get ready, because you're getting ready to have an encounter. Okay. And every single time, something happens. Sure. So they at that point, it's just like they're wide open. They're ready, And then the other thing that I do, I always, when I tell them, I say, I'm not choosing your cards, because whenever those cards come forth and whatever you experience, that it came from you, not from me. Right. That angels chose you. I didn't choose them for you. Gotcha. And so they really, get excited about that. And then once they turn over the cards, I don't read them. I have them read it, and when they're reading, I tell them, pay attention to any sensation, whether it's a word that just jumps out or a phrase, just pay attention. I'm always telling them to breathe, focus on your heart, and pay attention. And every time they're just like floored. Oh my God. This is what oh my God, this is just what I needed. And it's just, so it's like they're not looking to me. It's like they're having the experience. I'm just, guiding them through the experience. And then afterwards, then they know, okay, they walk away with, okay, there's no way. And so I'll share different, as I receive, if it's any kind of English words that I receive, I'll share with them. Okay. But otherwise, I tell them, and it's for you to interpret, because I don't take your power away from you. I empower you by helping you to connect with the angels. And then also I have the cards that they can purchase, and because of the way they're reading, when it's easy for them to be able to also connect afterwards.
Okay. So I'm looking here at your cards. Very beautiful. You designed these yourself?
Yes.
Wow, nice. So one of the things I noticed was on some of them, like this Archangel Uriel, so it has the means, which is God is my light, the energy aura color pale yellow, crystal amber, and the focus is healing and harmony. And so not on all of them, but some of them I noticed they have an essential oil associated with that Archangel, and some don't.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, when I was doing, I actually do research, in terms of, because I'm not at that place where I just can hear every little detail. So I do research, and some when I was doing research in terms of what angels connected or how to actually connect with, the reason why I put it on the back, you know, as far as their meaning, their focus, and the different things that individuals could use to draw the angels closer and to be able to connect with them. I didn't find essential oils for all of the angels. They all have crystals because that's one of the ways that they share with me in terms of connecting. Another way that the angels communicate with me that I didn't share earlier is through numbers. My angels speak to me through numbers because all of my life, you know, numbers has always been significant. I started paying attention, and when things would shift in my life, like what month or what day and things like that. So when I first started communicating with them, I was like, okay, how are you going to talk to me? How am I going to know that it's you? This is in the beginning, and I heard like numbers, and I ended up finding a website that I, you know, would pull up every time I saw a combination of numbers that would feel like a trigger in my heart, and I would do that. So the other thing, like I'm glad you pointed that out, a lot of card decks, they have books where you read, you know, to see what the meanings are. I didn't do that because, like for me, when I haven't purchased, I think I purchased one card deck to, you know, have a card and have the reading and then have to look it up. Right. It was just, you know, kind of took me out of my space sometimes. So I would have everything on the back of the card, like, you know, how to connect with the angels and the message that was given to me to share with them right all on the same card. So you know, if you needed some guidance right away, you'd have everything on the card.
Gotcha.
So that's the reason why I didn't put a book in my card deck, because it made it, you know, for me it was easier to.
Sure.
You know,
so, like, for example, Archangel Raphael, essential oils of star anise. Is that pronounced right? Star anise?
You mean in terms of essential oil?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what would you do with the oil? I mean, what is it? Something you just get and just put on you?
Yeah.
Or?
So what happens is like when a lot of times when I'm doing my readings, I always ask my client, you know, do you connect? Are you like resonate with oils or resonate with crystals? And a lot of times they get all like, yes, I love crystals, and they'll like go by the crystals. But like with the essential oils, you know, there's different ways that, you know, they have the little burners. You can use that, or they even like the candles. You know, having candles that have that essential oil scent, and you know, like it's just like aromatherapy. You use it the same way, and when you're doing meditation.
Well, does it call in that particular?
It draws them near. Yes,
okay.
yes.
That's
So yeah, it's like the crystals, the oils. You know, like Ariel. When I want to connect with Ariel, because Ariel is preside over nature, I'll just go out in nature and just connect with that angel in that way. So, and the reason why, like, even like with the focus, like the different focus, that angel, if you have something going on in your world, your life, and it's their focus, they focus on a certain area, and you can use it, you know, in that way as well. But yes, you can connect with them stronger. And like even like with the essential oil or a flower or something, you may not even if you're in meditation and you're using that oil, you might be out somewhere and you just that scent will come across your nose. That's just them. It might not that essential oil might not even be nowhere near, but because that's the way you connect with the angel in your meditation, it'll cause that scent to let you know I'm near. You know, so that's how I do it. You know, even like with colors. Yeah. You know, color therapy, all of the different, you know, modalities that we do.
I can't remember what the scent is, but someone told me, I might have read it, when the Virgin Mary is near, there's a scent.
Isn't it a rose?
Is that what it is?
A rose.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Right, and then, you know, like even walking, sometimes I'll smell flowers and there's no flowers nowhere near, and that just lets me know this angel is close by.
Yeah.
So how do you know the difference between an angel and maybe an ancestor?
Again, relationship for me.
Okay.
Relationship, because I know how the angels feel.
Okay.
You know, there's a different, that's why, like, when I'm doing readings, I always have the individuals to pay attention to their heart and the sensations they experience. You know, the tingling and different things like that. And so it's just after you have a, connection and you build a relationship with someone, that's just like, like as far as our relationship, how do you know it's Hamza, is he his laugh or he's acting goofy all the time or something like that, then, it's just like you just know. Right. It's like the relationship, like if you're, like when you have connection with your ancestors, there's just some kind of trait or feeling that or some kind of way that they used to make you feel, and you just know that that's them.
Right.
That's how it is for me with my angels. It's just like I just know. There's no question. And I remember, my mom transitioned. She when she was 41, but I remember it was like several years ago. I went to the movies with one of my girlfriends, and the movie had already started. And I walked in the movie, and I heard someone cough. In the movie, it's dark, right? It's like a couple hundred people probably, or at least 100 people in there. And I told my friend, I said, my mom's in this movie. Mm-hmm. And she said, how do you know? I said, because I heard her cough. Mm-hmm. And she was like, really? I said, yes, my mother is in this movie. Oh, wow. I said, when we leave out the movie theater, we're going to stand by the door, and I bet you my mom walked out this movie theater. Yeah. My mom was in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like that. I just knew it was her. It was no question.
Sure.
So that's the same way with my angels. It's like there's certain experiences that I have with them that I just know it's them.
So when you say ancestors, you're talking about her current incarnation ancestors, or just as a spirit?
Well, I think she answered the question, because you would have to know. If it was another incarnation family, you wouldn't know in this life, right? So it makes sense that you would know. Because I know an experience of another mother. She had lost her son recently, and he was a heavy smoker. And when he would come to her, he's like, Mom, I just miss smoking, And so whenever she would get clouds of smoke, she's like, oh, my son's around, type of deal.
Right, yeah. It's just like something, that you just know.
Right.
That's the only way I can explain it. And that's why, like I said, when I'm doing the readings, I have my clients to really pay attention. I always, when I could tell when they're in their head, right. I was like, come back, because that's where your connection is. Like, for me, it's the gateway. The heart is the gateway. It's my portal. I mean, there's different ways that you can connect to spirit, and different portals that you can go through. But mine is my heart. And that's why I had to go through my journey. As far as it broken open, because that's my way that I can just connect instantly. I know what to do. Just breathe and focus, and I'm there. So
I have a question about themes. So you said when people come to see you, I'll use my personal experience. So when we did line readings or just readings in general, the people that are in front of me, it was something that I was going through too, because everyone's usually a mirror, right? Mm-hmm. So my theme for you is, do you find a majority of people in their head, or you find them in the root chakra when they come to see you? Because you're always trying to bring them to the heart chakra. Mm-hmm. So do you find a theme of what you're going through, or do you find a theme of just people that come to you, like a group of people at a time that come to you for a reading?
Well, one, a lot of the people that sit in front of me, they're in their head, and that's why I have to make sure they get in their, get them in their heart space. Mm-hmm. One thing that I do notice, like, in terms of a theme, not so much of where I am, but it is definitely when I'm talking to them, something that I have experienced, as far as like one of the big things as far as the relationship aspect, right? And when it concerns you trying to get rid of someone out of your life that's causing, you to just want to choke them or whatever, that kind of thing, like, oh, I'm so tired of this relationship, I just want them to go. But I've had people, like maybe it could be their twin flame or soul essence, or their essence twin, that is, and they're trying to rid someone out of their life. So that's one of the things that I can really assist them with, because that's something too that I've experienced and still trying to figure that out. Mm-hmm. So that was one. But one of the things that really makes me smile is that in doing the readings, I would have some of the similar angels that would come up every reading.
Okay.
And I was just like, I kind of think to myself, you're really working hard today, kind of thing, because there was like one of my first events, and I was doing readings, Archangel Jophiel was just back to back. People would just choose that angel. And I was just like, you're really working hard today.
Yeah.
And Archangel Raziel, but Jophiel is the angel that helps you to see the beauty in life, like in every aspect. It's the angel that, resonates and focuses on beauty and nature and, the beauty, the spark within you and things like that. And so I find that to be, kind of amazing that that angel really, for some reason, not in that the different times I would have like some of the same, like Raziel, the last event, the recent event that I had.
Right.
Raziel came forth, and the one that, is Secrets of God, sacred geometry and quantum physics, and I'm just thinking like, and that angel is not always present in people's life experience. That means that they're going to a whole another dimensional level in their life because they're getting ready to be opened up to some really amazing things. So I'm just sitting looking at the person that I'm, working with, and I was like, the one lady was like, oh my God, I've been online, looking for, just being drawn to all this kind of thing, and this is what I'm into. So I know Raziel doesn't come to people that's really a lot of times that I find that's really new on their journey because, Raziel deals with, heavy hitter kind of stuff, as I would call it. And you can't rush Raziel in doing anything.
Sure.
Raziel is going to give you what, knows where you are and only going to give you as much as you can handle. So.
Is Raziel on CP time?
See, Raziel does. There's no. Raziel does. Time is.
It was a joke.
I know that, but Raziel, is not one angel that you can rush.
Well, I think it's really good that you have the tie-in because the way I interpreted what you said is you're seeing that there's an elevation happening on a planet, and if there's a theme, then you're actually tapping in. Like I can actually see the angels coming in to raise the vibration because maybe I didn't see that 10 years ago or 10 years from now, right? Since we are still linear, at least, that you can actually tie into that.
Right.
So one other thing as far as like the growth, do you see with angels, like for us, we're taught to pay it forward. That's why your life is always great from giving, and you get to the next level. Do you think they're working harder because they're ready to go to the next level? They're like waiting on us to get to the next level so they can move on. Do you see as far, I'm more jovial with my ancestors and such, but do you have that kind of relationship with all of them, or is it like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs where one is sneezy and one's jokey and one's really serious?
Well, yeah. Like for me, it's kind of like I keep going to the relationship thing. It's like a love kind of, experience. Like I resonate really strong with Archangel Chamuel because I am an angel of love, and that's the angel that is like kind of like over guiding and directing us, and like I said, understanding the whole aspect about the heart and the healing. But no, I'm not like, I have nicknames for them, but I don't like, it's not like one of them kind of joke homie kind of things. No, they're not homies.
That's our podcast.
Yeah. So they're not like homies for me. It's more, and not like really, really serious, because like when I first connected with them, I had all nicknames. I called Raphael, Rafi, and Michael is the only one that I didn't give a nickname.
Okay.
Because Michael is just like
Michael.
Yes, you don't. It's like kind of like you don't play with him no kind of way.
Right.
Just kind of like like the man, and you need to recognize that. But it wasn't like that kind of energy around it. But it's just like kind of like that kind of respect kind of thing. Not that I don't respect my other ones, but it was more like everyone that's dear to my heart, I give him, some kind of nickname. So, like Nathaniel, I'll call him Nat, and, Raguel, I'll call, Jophiel, I'll call him Jofi. What'd you say?
Junebug.
No, none of us is called Junebug, and, Raziel, I'll call Razzie.
JB, you can want some friends, call me JB.
Right.
It's legions, right? There's Junebug in there somewhere.
Probably, but me and Junebug, we ain't kicking it.
Cool.
Razzie, like Razzie, I'll call Razzie.
Okay.
And then like when I call them nicknames, I could feel it like they're smiling. I could feel it in my heart, kind of like it feels like a smile.
Right.
And so, because at first when I was giving them nicknames, I'm like, are y'all cool with me giving me nicknames? Because it was like kind of like a respect kind of thing. Because I looked at the angels like, okay, I'm not sure how this is gonna work. But then when I started creating the cards, I started calling them nicknames, and they like the nicknames.
They say an angel's heart is light as a feather.
Yeah.
So, and if you keep the levity, I think that helps.
Yeah. So it's not like I'm like serious or anything like that, but it's like a love relationship. I know that they love me. I know that they love me so much.
We love you too, Tracey.
Oh, thank you. I just
We're going to get that J. We're going to find out what that J means.
So let me ask you this. So since that point in time when that woman gave you the angel book, right, and you read it and it spoke to you, and all your experiences from that point in time till now, can you look back? Because prior to that, you weren't anything with angels, right? You just living life,
just knew the
9 to 5 in.
Psalms 91:11 about the angels being charged over us. I didn't, and there was one other time before all of this. It was I used to go to a really huge mega church, and we used to have prayer. Like I don't know, there was times where we would go be there at 5:30 in the morning and have morning prayer at the sanctuary. And it was this one lady who would, I would go in the same area, it was huge and it wasn't that many people always. And it was this one lady who was not that far from me, and she gave me a little figurine, and it was an angel. And she just said, God told me to give it to you. And I was like, oh, okay. And so it was just like little bitty things, like you said, God winked. But I wasn't, not until I read that book, because I knew the scripture, God gives his angel charge over us, but to give them, we had to give them permission. I was like, that was after that. It was like, okay, give them permission. Oh, you can do this, you can do, and it wasn't like giving them orders, but it was like, please help me, kind of thing. And then now it's like I feel like they when I say please, it's like sometimes I'm like crying from my heart. It's like you don't have to beg us. Right. Because we love you, and they can see from a higher perspective. They already know what's going on. Right. Even like when I cry, I'm a professional crier. So they really, it's kind of like I feel like they just like, oh, you still had to cry. We like that for you kind of thing. So it's just like a love relationship for me. I just know that they love me so much, and the feeling is mutual.
Very, very.
So just to finish, the question I was asking was, I was just curious that now that you've had all these experiences since that woman who gave you that book, were there certain experiences, like maybe as a child, you look back now and say, wow, that angel was probably with me then or there, or certain things that you didn't even think twice about, but now you might look back and say, oh, wait, that's probably what was going on.
Yeah, well, like in my book that I wrote, and I talked about how when I was a little girl, my mom, used to say when she'd come in my room, I would be trembling. Mm-hmm. It was because I could see. I mean, when I was a little girl, I'm sure that I shut it down, but I could see, like, at the end of my bed, like, little, so, and I've always been different all of my life. Mm-hmm. I've always been different from everybody in my family, so I didn't, as I look, and my grandmother would always take me to church, and it was kind of like I was being protected all of my life, like this little fragile little piece of
progeny. You're not fragile.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's how they would handle me. They would handle me like I was fragile.
Gotcha.
And so I just, I just look at it, I feel like I was being protected, because one of the things, too, angels are really sensitive, and I'm very, very, very sensitive. So I was always protected by my family, because it was easy for my feelings to get hurt, and I didn't understand. I hated being like that. I hated being so sensitive. I was so sensitive to the spirit and people and my heart, and I never wanted anybody to be alone. It's just like that's just always been me, and I know now that is just like the reason why I'm drawn to people that seem outcast or alone, and I always want to, it's because of who I am and the fact that I'm connected with angels, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So.
You definitely have a gift, and I remember at the Unity Church, you were also giving out a gift if people went to your website. So if you can list your website where people can learn more about you and maybe get that free gift to sign up for your newsletter, That'd be fantastic.
Was it download? Is that what it was?
Yes. Well, one of the things that came through me, and like I said, the categories as far as relationships is concerned, as I wrote a book called There's More Than What Meets the Eye, Multi-Dimensional Relationships. And you can go to openheartworld.com and download the book for free. And the reason, the big theme of what I do, or how we have the umbrella, is open heart, because again, opening up your heart to have your angel encounter. So it's openheart.com, and you can go online and download that book for free, and that's the aspect of the relationship part of AIR.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And, do you have a YouTube channel, Facebook page, any of that?
Yes, and the website, which will connect you to everything, is my full name, TraceyJJohnson.com, and the Tracey is spelled Tracey, J. Johnson. I make sure I spell my first name because I have extra Y, extra vowel, not Y, extra vowel.
Yeah, no, it's not C-Y, it's C-E-Y.
E-Y, yes. So TraceyJJohnson.com, and you can also order the cards. It has a link. If you go on click on the tab that says AIR, it has a little sample of the cards and the link for you to be able to go online and order them.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Tracey, it was a pleasure having you on the Intrinsic Motivation from a Homie's Perspective, and we enjoyed having you. We love having you in the Intenders meeting, and I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast in the future.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day, guys. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.